This is a special report from News 8.
You are looking live right now at Groton-New London Airport, and in moments you will see Air Force One about to touch down. President Donald Trump will be in Connecticut shortly this morning to address the graduating class of cadets at the United States Coast Guard Academy.
That's right. Today will be the very first time we hear publicly from the president since a report that he pressured former FBI Director James Comey to end an investigation into former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn and any possible ties to Russia. Now, no guarantee he'll be talking about that today at the graduation, but we are certainly waiting to see what he chooses to talk about today.
It will be a very eventful day. Good morning, everybody. I'm Keith Coons.
And I'm Laura Hutchinson. This is the beginning of a very busy few hours on the Connecticut shoreline. We are looking live here at the Groton-New London Airport, waiting for Air Force One. President Donald Trump is expected in New London momentarily. He left Washington, D.C. right on time this morning, even a little early, and he's expected to touch down at 10:25, so very soon.
Yeah, actually got out of Washington a few minutes early today. He, of course, is heading to the United States Coast Guard Academy. It will be the 136th commencement ceremony at that institution. It is the president's first visit back here to the state of Connecticut since his election. We have our News 8 colleague Brian Spiros, who is out at the airport with more. Brian, we see the plane just came in.
Hey, Keith and Laura, yeah, you're looking live. Air Force One literally just touched down on runway 23 here at Groton-New London Airport. It's what a lot of people have been expecting, a lot of preparation this morning for this moment. This is the president's first trip to Connecticut since he became the commander-in-chief. As you may recall, it was during the campaign season before the election that he made two separate stops to Connecticut to campaign. And again, this is his first stop as the commander-in-chief. You know, you guys had mentioned he's coming to Connecticut amid these headlines involving that memo from former FBI Director James Comey involving Michael Flynn. Of course, the White House defending that, saying that that memo is not accurate. So this is a story that will continue to evolve in the coming hours and, of course, the coming days. Air Force One, they're pulling off the main runway, now on the taxiway, and it's going to be coming down here to the tarmac momentarily. Now, you know, ordinarily when the president travels, we see him on one of those iconic 747 aircraft that the U.S. military uses. That plane is too big to go in and out of the Groton-New London Airport. And so what you're looking at right now is actually a Boeing 757 aircraft. It is the same type of aircraft which is used by many airlines. Many of us have probably flown on one at one point or another. But this one, per the military, is known as a C-32. This type of aircraft is primarily used by the Vice President, the First Lady, or the Secretary of State. At times, the President, as is the case here today. Now, just to tell you a little bit about this aircraft, the forward section has a complete communication center and 10 business class seats. The second section is a fully enclosed stateroom used for the primary passenger, who in this case would be President Trump. The third section has a conference area for staff, and then finally the back of the aircraft has general seating for about 32 people or so. Now, we also learned just a short time ago from the White House press corps that Reince Priebus, Kellyanne Conway, and Sean Spicer, the three of them, are on this aircraft right now with the president. It's unclear if they're going to be going with him to the Coast Guard Academy or not, but they are on the aircraft as the plane gets closer here towards the ramp. Now, this is a scene we're going to be seeing in the days to come. A lot of people have probably heard the headlines that the president is going to be making his first overseas trip since coming into office back in January. He's going to be going to Saudi Arabia, where he will meet with the king there. He's then going to be traveling to Israel, where he will meet with the president and the prime minister, and then he will be going on to the Vatican, where he will meet with Pope Francis. So a busy few days for the president, but for right now, he is here in our state, and you can see that aircraft turning now onto the tarmac, and will momentarily be a little closer in front of us as it loops around and the staircase is put up there.
Brian, can you tell us a little bit about who's at the airport with you right now?
Well, I can tell you, a lot of Secret Service agents are here at the airport right now, and a lot of Connecticut State Police are here as well, assisting. I have to tell you, it's a pretty impressive sight to be here leading up to an arrival like this, and the security measures that are put in place, and the protocol, and just the manpower that it takes to move the president from location to location. I can also tell you there is quite a bit of media, and aside from that, a large crowd has gathered as well of people who came out to basically see the president. Some of them having on shirts that say "Make America Great Again," the president's campaign slogan. Some of them may not be supporters of him. Some of them may very well be. But for a lot of these people, you can only imagine that no matter who's in office, it's pretty cool to be here, to see all of this, to see Air Force One pull up, and of course to see the president in real life and in person. The crowd is down a little ways from where we are right now, and it's unclear if the president is going to go up to them or not. You know, back in 2015 when President Barack Obama came to the Coast Guard to speak, he got off the plane and greeted the crowd. Right now it's unclear if President Trump will do that. It's sort of at the will of the president whether or not he goes over to the crowd to address them. There are quite a few people too with children as well, so there are some kids here hoping to catch a glimpse of the president. So the staircase, as you can see, going up to the door in the rear of the aircraft. Security here, you know, I had just mentioned, obviously when we arrived here, we set up all of our stuff, all the media did, and then they had everybody leave the airport so that they could do a sweep, a security sweep with the dogs. They also did a security sweep of all of the vehicles that will be in the motorcade. You know, you have numerous state police vehicles here. You have emergency vehicles, fire trucks, ambulances. I mean, there is so much in place, and everyone is at the ready in case something were to go wrong, which you obviously hope it doesn't. But in this situation, they are ready for it.
Brian,
so the staircase is probably, yes.
Brian, I was going to ask you, are there any local dignitaries on hand? I know obviously during the past administration when President Obama visited the state, we would see members of the Connecticut delegation on hand for these arrival ceremonies. Are there any major dignitaries on hand up at the airport this morning?
And Keith, I can tell you that the answer to that is no. We've been here all morning, and we haven't seen anybody who even remotely looks familiar, a familiar face here in Connecticut when it comes to the delegation. So as of right now, it appears that there is nobody here from what I can see and from what I can tell. Everyone was out in front of the airport earlier as that security sweep was going on, as I mentioned, and we didn't notice anyone up there. You can see a lot of the press now exiting the back of the aircraft. Of course, the main stairs are going to go towards the forward door, and that is where we expect the president to come out of this aircraft.
Brian, I think it's very interesting that both Sean Spicer and Kellyanne Conway are both on this trip. That certainly is not normal operating procedure for this White House.
Yeah, it is certainly not, and Reince Priebus is on the plane as well. Like I said, it's unclear if they're going to accompany him to the graduation ceremony, but in an email that the White House press corps sent out, they said that the three of them were on the plane with the president. So right now it's unclear exactly why they're traveling with him on this specific visit to Connecticut, but there obviously is a reason for it. We may never know why they decided to come or not, but they are on board this aircraft, and it will be interesting to see. I'm kind of watching as everyone deplanes here, if I notice them, if they're going to be getting in the limo with the president, if they're going to be in the motorcade. I'm assuming they probably are. If they came up here, they're probably going to be accompanying him to that graduation.
Okay, if you're just joining us, we're taking a live look at the Groton-New London airport right now. Air Force One just landed just a few moments ago. We watched the press exit the plane, and now we're taking a close look at the door where the president and some of his staffers are expected to exit momentarily. We have News 8's Brian Spiros there kind of filling us in on what's going on at the airport right now. And Brian, I know that his agenda is, very detailed, but is there any talk of him stopping anywhere else in Connecticut outside of this graduation ceremony?
You know, we don't know that right now. The White House hasn't exactly said if that's going to be the case. With past administrations and trips similar to this, you will find that a president will stop off to get lunch or to meet some people, to take care of some other business. But in this case, Secret Service, no officials have said if the president is going to actually be making a stop off after the graduation. I can tell you that Kellyanne Conway just got off the back of the aircraft. She's wearing light green, and it looks like she is going to be getting into one of the motorcade vehicles. So going back to your question, Laura, as of right now, it's unclear if he is going to be making another stop anywhere. That remains determined. He is scheduled to speak at 11:05 at the Coast Guard Academy and then take off from the Groton-New London airport right around 1:55 this afternoon. So there is a little bit of time in there. I would imagine he would stay at the ceremony for the whole graduation. So he could be planning on making another stop. It may just be unannounced at this point.
I do know that, Brian, in past years, the Commander-in-Chief has stayed to actually hand out to the diplomas to the graduating cadets during the ceremony.
Yeah, not sure if the president is going to be doing that. My colleague Ken Pierce may have more details on that. He's actually at the Coast Guard Academy. The president may be very well doing that, which is why he is staying the full length of time at this ceremony. And there's President Trump coming out, waving to the crowd. Let's take a moment.
That is President Trump arriving right now at the Groton-New London airport. He will be heading over to the U.S. Coast Guard Academy graduation. Just a few minutes, expected to speak at 11:05 today.
We see him waving to supporters. We will see now if he gets right in the motorcade or if he goes to talk to anybody. It looks like the president is heading right into the motorcade for that quick trip up to the Coast Guard Academy, and then again he is scheduled to give the commencement speech rather early on in the ceremony, approximately 11:05 this morning.
What's interesting is there are no greeters at the bottom of the stairs there as well. This was very quick, off Air Force One into the motorcade, and it looks like he is going to be leaving in just a few minutes. We do have Brian there at the airport who was talking to us about security. Brian, if you can still hear me, I know that the media and everyone gathered at the airport right now, we're told, once he leaves the ground, everyone at the airport there needs to exit as well. Is there some kind of a post sweep going on there that you're expecting to happen in just a few minutes?
Yeah, so after the motorcade sort of leaves, everyone kind of has to clear off the airport grounds, the media and all of the civilians who've come to catch a glimpse of the president. Not exactly sure why that's the case. It is just Secret Service protocol. You know, I was speaking to another reporter here from out of state who's covered these types of events with past administrations, and he has said in the past that's never been the case. So right now it's unclear if this is something per the Trump administration, if it's something that Secret Service feels they need to do to secure the grounds, to check the aircraft. There's a lot of stuff that they have to obviously carry out before this aircraft heads back down to Washington. So as of right now, we will have to leave the grounds, and that appears to be the protocol per this administration. But again, it's unclear why. The motorcade, everyone looping around, a lot of cars part of this motorcade. Everyone leaving the ground now as the president heads to the Coast Guard Academy. You know, another interesting note that I want to make is that there's actually another aircraft here on the property parked a little ways from where we are. It's a little smaller, but it looks the same. It's another aircraft, basically another Air Force One. And that aircraft is here in place in the event that something was to happen to this aircraft and they needed to get the president out of here quickly. So there is that reserve aircraft that is in place. So as you could see, the motorcade is leaving, heading over to the Coast Guard Academy now. President officially here making his first trip to Connecticut as the Commander-in-Chief. And with that said, Keith and Laura, I'm going to send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Brian Spiros at Groton-New London Airport. You saw that contingent of vehicles leaving behind the president and his motorcade.
That's right, and I do want to mention that we did just learn that he is going to stay at the graduation ceremony for the duration as well.
All right, next stop for President Trump, the U.S. Coast Guard Academy in New London.
That's right, streets there have been closed since early this morning near the Academy. The president's motorcade now making its way to campus. News 8's Kent Pierce is there live for us with a look at what's going on there now. Kent.
Laura and Keith, good morning and welcome to the Coast Guard Academy football stadium here, where a big crowd is anxiously awaiting what happens next. This is the next stop for President Trump now that he's off the plane and on the ground. Now, a president, each modern president at least, has visited each of the military academies. There were 4 of them, once during a 4-year term. It was 2 years ago that President Obama was here for his first visit to a military academy as president. President Trump has chosen the Coast Guard Academy. So presidential visits to this ceremony are fairly routine. What is not routine is a president coming here at a time when there is so much attention being paid to what the president has said and done, especially that memo that came out yesterday written by then FBI Director Jim Comey about what President Trump allegedly asked him to do regarding an investigation into then National Security Advisor Mike Flynn. We don't know what the president is going to talk about here. Oftentimes, just before the president speaks, we're given a copy of his speech. That has not happened yet. We don't know if it's going to happen at all because this is a rather unorthodox president. So we don't know if we're going to know ahead of time. And as we all know, President Trump is known for speaking kind of off the cuff and not necessarily sticking to the script. So everybody is looking to see what happens. It is an almost full house here. It's a very sunny, warm day on the banks of the Thames River. People have been sitting in the bleachers here for a couple of hours. People at the podium have been encouraging them to put on sunscreen. We're waiting here. The band is behind me. The podium is back there. And, of course, we will bring you the president's speech as soon as it begins. But for now, from the Coast Guard Academy, I'm Kent Pierce. Back to you.
All right, Kent, thank you for that. And with the president, of course, comes protesters. There are some people who are not happy with President Trump, that he's here, or at least they're hoping that they'll listen to their message.
That's right. There are supporters there as well. News 8's Tina Detel live outside the Coast Guard Academy with that part of our story this morning. Tina.
Good morning, guys. As you can see, it's a very lively crowd here. There are actually quite a few groups who have gathered here to try to get the president's attention, and quite frankly, the attention of a lot of the folks here just passing by the Coast Guard Academy and walking by as well. Now, we're panning up to the top of McKinley Park here. That is where Trump supporters have gathered. They are among the first to pull a permit to gather here. And actually, Lori Hopkins Kavanaugh, who pulled that permit, is in court right now because she wanted exclusive rights to this park, and she has to share it with the people, as you see below, who are opposing Trump's policies. Now, these folks here who have gathered right behind me, they actually walked up from Parade Plaza in downtown New London around 8:30 this morning. They walked through downtown New London and have gathered here. As you can see, it's very lively. A lot of people are chanting. It's been loud, and at times it actually has been argumentative as well, but it has been peaceful. Now, in addition to these folks, want to take a look across the street here. You can see that there are other folks across the street, the bikers for Trump and others supporters for Trump. There's also a person with a sign touting terrorism, so some troublemakers, or people who may want to be troublemakers, I should say, are here as well. And as you can say, a strong police presence is here. They actually walked right across the street when they saw him coming over, and it has been peaceful. These bikers here who support Trump, support the First Amendment, they are here to be peaceful. And, you know, basically, we're going to come back here. Basically, they just want, you know, people to know they support their president. We're live now in London. Let's head it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Tina, you can see the police keeping those two groups separate.
Yeah, certainly a lively bunch. You could tell word has spread that the president is here and making their way.
People very passionate, of course.
Right.
All right, now we want to head out to News 8's Jackie Slater.
She's on the Thames River for us, where fishermen have gathered there, calling on the president to support their industry. Jackie.
Laura, Keith, I am out here on the Thames River. Gorgeous day to be out here on the water. I'm aboard the Tradition. It's a 70-foot fishing vessel, and we are joined out here on the river by, my last count, I see 17 other fishing boats. Now, this is not a leisurely cruise. These fishing boats, these fishermen are here on a mission. One of President Trump's platforms was overregulation of the fishing industry and how it weighs in on small businesses. Well, this boat right here that we're on and all of the others joining in this flotilla flotilla. They say they're small businesses in their own. This is one of the reasons they wanted to be here today, to support the cadets, but also to let President Trump know they need change and they want him to deliver on his campaign promises. Now, my captain today on board the Tradition is Aaron Williams. This is his family's business. He's been a part of since he was 5 years old. He's been a fisherman since the late 90s and has been aboard this boat since 2006. He and the crew say there were definitely issues back in the 90s, but now they're seeing fish in numbers they haven't seen in decades. And just to give you a better idea of exactly what's going on out here, we are north of the Gold Star Bridge. Again, about 17 boats going in a slow circle here. We're allowed to get within 500 yards of the graduation ceremony, and they're just hoping that the president knows that they're here. They've got their flags flying. They've got messages saying, please help us on their boats, and they want him to start delivering on some of those promises to change these regulations. Reporting live on the Thames River aboard the Tradition today, Jackie Slater, News 8.
Jackie, thank you. As we mentioned and as we saw, the president now on his way to the Coast Guard Academy in New London.
That's right. As you watched here just a couple of minutes ago, Air Force One landed at Groton-New London Airport. When the president talks in just a few minutes, it is his first public remarks since a report he pressured the FBI to drop the investigation into his now former national security advisor's possible ties to Russia. We, of course, don't know if he's going to be addressing that issue, so sort of a wait and see here this morning.
Of course, stay with News 8, WTNH.com, and the News 8 app for the very latest on President Trump's visit to the Connecticut shoreline. When he speaks at the Coast Guard Academy, is scheduled to happen at about 11:05. We will bring that to you on the air live, also online and also on the app. And we'll have continuing coverage throughout this day here on News 8.
We want to thank you for joining us for this News 8 special report. We'll see you back here in just a few minutes when the president talks live.